this is our main act for today. We are so excited to have Mariah Ahmad today. She's the founder of What's the Matter Today. What's the matter? Well, I don't want to get into her slides yet, but Mariah is a bit of a hero to us because first of all, she's a gamer. We like gamers, even though Rishad and I are not professional gamers. But more importantly, I think this is the future of where media is going. Maria worked at AstroAWANI a few years ago, and she was covering esports back then. But that was also when she realized that this was going to be a big industry and that the old people were not paying enough attention to it. So she decided to go start something on her own, which is entirely possible today given where technology is. And it has been building an amazing community of esports followers and fans all around Malaysia. And she's got plans for something bigger as well across the region. Maria, you have to tell us how you got into this.
By the way, I have to say, it was so amazing just before we started to watch Alan and Maria geeking out about their gear. Alan was like, what headphones are you using? Look at that build. I don't even know what to call it. What keyboard do you have? Look at that Razer mouse. Anyway, Maria, all yours.
Lol. Thank you so much, Richard and Ellen. That's a very dope introduction. I really believe that it's such an honor to be here, and I supposed to be for Splice Beta at the beginning stage, right? But I couldn't make it because at that time I do have a breaking news related to esports player that actually received his own citizenship certificate in Malaysia. So because of esports, because of he represent Malaysia 2 times, but he cannot make it because he don't have identification for as a Malaysian citizenship. But during that day, he just received it, and he might get an ID in 1 month later. So yeah, thank you so much for bringing me here. So the reason why I'm doing this startup is actually for 2 reasons. Actually, for 1 reason, because I like to experiment. Because I do believe in social media and mobile, because that's how people consume anything, not just entertainment, but also education and so on. As a media, this is actually my platform to see how if I can really make it through esports journalism, especially because before I joined AstroAWANI, I used to study in journalism, and after 4 years, I graduate. I get a job in AstroAWANI. I really love it, and during that time, I was given opportunity to pitch and actually get an opportunity to produce a few talk show with Awani, but it just a very very little amount of duration, like 1 minute or 2 minute talk show, and it's all for mobile. And I was like why don't I just focus in this one thing? Why don't I just focus in this niche? So is it okay if I show my presentation, or
Yes, please go for it.
I present it, or
Yes, just
okay.
start presenting.
Jang, jang, jang.
Dun,
This one?
There it
Okay.
is.
Yep,
Is it?
and just go to yes. Perfect.
Okay. What's the meta? It's actually the idea. What's the meta? Meta is actually a language in esports. Meta, yeah. We use it to discuss about strategy. What kind of meta did he use to win against this team, for example? And actually, what's the meta is actually come from what's the matter. So it's just like one day I watch Gone Girls and he asked what's the matter, and I was like, what's the meta? It doesn't relate, but that's the idea of it. So I was like, hey, why don't what's the meta? So but people in esports can relate to it, WTM today. So that's the name of it. That's basically the basic of name of it. So I am actually a high achiever. I really want to conquer the C region in terms of esports journalism. But first, in order for you to do that, I think I need to win in national level first. And in order for you to actually to grab the attention, is actually to localize your content. So that's why I'm starting in Bahasa Melayu first in Malaysia, because not many people or not many big organization or big media company really actually pay attention to that. So I was like, there's a lake, but not many people want to go there to go fish. But why don't I just go there and do it anyway? So like, what's the harm? So about me, I'm so cool. No, I'm not cool. I used to be part of AstroAWANI, one of the biggest media company in Malaysia. And during that time, I won a few awards, but it's related to social media because I like to experiment a lot of content in social media. Because back in, I think, 2014 or 15, during that time, like if you can see international media like Al Jazeera produced AJ Plus, and then we saw Nowadays, and then we saw Vox Media. So we can see that people are actually going to social media, to heavily go social media, not to portal, to actually to reach their audience actually. So it works during that time. So I pitched to my editor, hey, can we do like this for AstroAWANI? Because during that time, there's no social media videos for AstroAWANI. So I was like, pitch to my editor, can I produce this kind of content? Because I think this is how you want to get audience. So after a few of pitching series, and I get his permission to actually to produce the content. So, and our bosses like numbers. Everyone like numbers because that's how you can see actually the result. But it doesn't mean that you are actually desperate for it. You are actually chasing for it to actually to reach the right target. So after 1 day, 2 day, after I produced that video, it gains a lot. Like it gains 300,000 views in 1 or 2 days. So it was like, wow, this kind of thing works. So during that time, I do social media videos that call Awani Bite. It still have it until now. So yeah, I'm the founder of Awani Bite. So yeah, and during my time with AstroAWANI, I used to be one of the esports hosts. I have produced 2 shows, which is one is Arena Maya and another one is Galaxy Gamers. So during that time with Awani, the reason why I see this potential is like when you in a newsroom, right? You will see there's a chart bit, there's a rank, which news is at the top at the moment. I mean, like how many people consume that kind of content, that kind of news at that moment. So every time I produce esports content, it's always on top. So I was like, there's a lot of community, but it's not loud. So I think that I need to tap on that and actually bring that numbers to my side, to actually that to people actually want to appreciate that kind of content. And it works. And also beside as a reporter, editor and videographer myself in WTM, I'm also one of Mobile Legends analysts. So this is actually during my time at World Championship that held in Kuala Lumpur last year. So this is my portal, wtmtoday.my. So yeah. And since I started March 2019, this is the numbers. We received 4.4 million page views since March 2019, and monthly page views is July 525k, and unique visitor during July is like 1,000. So before this, it's like when I started, it was like I will really appreciate if I have like 1 or 2 viewership. Like yeah, when I started back in March, at least like even in 1 month, I feel that I achieved my goal if I have 1 million page view during that month. But right now, during every month, I will set my own KPI, but not really pushing myself. About maybe 400 and above 350k and above at least. It's actually to actually to see that when you do an experiment, you want to see your formula is right, so that actually you can move on to another experiment to actually, I mean, like the aim is to dominate the sea, right? So if this formula is right for Malaysian audience, maybe I can use this kind of formula when I'm going to Indonesia next time, for example. So that's why I keep on experimenting content. So when you see the result, you know that your formula is right. That's all. It's not bragging or something. It's just like when you use something or when you do something, you want to see that it works. So yeah, I'm glad it works. So since I'm heavily focusing on social media and mobile, so when I started, I will heavily focus on Facebook because that's where people want to read the article, because that's easy because you can share link directly. in Facebook. So monthly, I will get approximately 1 million reach and at least 1.5 post engagement. This is during August. During August, we have PUBG Mobile World Championship. So imagine when we talk about world stage, so the engagement is increasing. And I actually want to share about my engagement and my audience about Instagram and YouTube. If you can see below, my Instagram right now have 151K. When I started, I heavily focused on one social media at a time, because right now WTM is actually on my own. I recently have one part-time writer. His name is Marvin, and he's very good. But right now, in terms of management and also workflow and operating, I'm on my own. So I need to focus on my energy. So instead of doing everything at the same time, I really believe that you need to focus on one thing at a time. For example, I started with Facebook. I receive is I received 56K followers in like 1 year and a half. It's actually quite slow for me. I really need to push harder on that time. On that platform. Sorry. And currently on Twitter, I have 9.9K followers. And it's also because which content I need to understand more which content that people like more. There's a lot of games in esports. So mobile esports, console esports, PC esports. So yeah. And okay, now I want to talk about Instagram and also YouTube. As you can see, my Instagram have 151K. Early this year, which is January 2020, I only have 10K Instagram followers. And starting March, I start to focus producing more content on Instagram. And between 8 months, this is the numbers. It's like increasing 140K in 8 months. So actually, I was wrong that I thought that Malaysian audience will consume more in Facebook. Not really. They actually like to consume more in Instagram. So when we talk about audience, different platforms actually have different purposes, different kind of tastes, and actually how you want to serve them better. So and WTM starting getting more popular on Instagram, and I think it's still increasing. And of course about YouTube, I didn't produce a lot of YouTube video at the moment, but during July, because there is a world championship holding on, PUBG Mobile from PUBG Mobile. PUBG Mobile is one of the famous esports in Southeast Asia, especially in Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand. These three countries is very famous, PUBG Mobile. So I was like, and during that time, Malaysia have two representatives. What I did was I interview a few pro players that representing Malaysia, and that's the numbers. From 300 or to 500 subscribers, in 1 month I gained 30K subscribers. And I didn't produce a lot of videos since August. So since August until September, there's another followers without I'm doing anything, another 4K subscribers. So it's actually to show that actually people really want to see and really want to hear a lot of stories beside or just by beside watching the game. People want to know the behind the scene, what's the effort, what's the sacrifice for the players to reach at this stage. So I think my experiment went well, but there's a lot of things need to go on. And yeah, when we talk about followers, we need to talk about quality followers too. I'm so glad and I'm very fortunate that WTM followed by our Ministry of Youth and Sports, Dato Sri Rizal American, and our former Minister of Youth and Sports, Said Abdurrahman, and also our football coach player. And although I'm producing a lot of mobile esports content, not FIFA, not anything related to football, but I'm kind of feel special when a football coach, a national football coach, follow WTM today. It shows that even though they are not, can I say young, but they are very supportive. It's besides Sadiq, but they are very supportive of this youth initiative or this kind of new. We can say it's not when people talk about esports, just think esports as the new esports. It's not really. Esports is actually about, yes, new sports and also new entertainment. Because when you play, you have another audience or another community that watch you play. And there's a numbers, a huge number that actually watch you play. Especially when you are pro. Not many people are gonna watch you if you are not really good at that game. So yeah. This is me. When I attend to one of the biggest tournament that held in Philippines. I feel really fortunate that I get sponsor to go on my own under the name of WTM. This is during June or July 2019. So it's actually the WTM is still baby. During that time, it's like 3 months old. So I very fortunate that when I pitch to people, people want to see the future of esports. So they sponsored me to go here to actually to see 12 teams from 9 countries to actually play. Who is actually better in this game? Sorry. Sorry. Excuse me. And this is in Shanghai last year, August. And the prize pool is like a lot. USD 34 million USD. So Dota 2 is not actually my main game. My main game is more to actually mobile games. Because I like fast-paced kind of game. On PC game, it's actually it takes like not so fast game. So Dota 2 is actually one of the famous esports in Malaysia. Sorry, one of the famous esports in the world. So I want to see why people like this kind of esports. So it's actually a huge crowd, and I actually want to understand. And the reason why I'm going to like Shanghai, Philippines, or Indonesia is actually to understand other region how they see esports, and actually for me to adapt what kind of thing that I can learn back to Malaysia. For example, like they have so many pro clubs. They say they have so many pro players, but why Malaysia can't do that? Is something missing and something wrong? A government support or maybe association, something like that. What's missing is actually. So it's very interesting to see and why people want to take esports seriously in other region. Sorry. And lastly, in Manila, SEA Games. This is the first esport contest as a medal event in Southeast Asian game in Manila, Philippines. It's a very, very big deal for a certain country because this is the first time like you get a certain acknowledgement from the mainstream side. So when the mainstream media when the mainstream audience actually watch this kind of contest, they will have the idea what's the meaning of esport. For some people, they just thought, oh, it's Candy Crush in esports. Esports is actually defined as any game that you play competitively, and there's certain of element that need to be required for a game to be called as esports. So generally, it's about a competitive gaming. So yeah. And lastly, this is about the fun that I received from Splice Beta. Sorry, from Splice. Back in June or July, if I'm not mistaken. What I did is actually during COVID-19, we actually see a lot of numbers. People are losing job and so on. But during this time too, people are actually consuming a lot of live streaming in Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. So what I did was actually I interview a certain people. For example, this is this is the Ministry of Negeri Sembilan, the state government, the head of state government, to understand during COVID-19 what they want to do is actually to make their children or the kids or the youngsters to stay at home. One of it is actually to do or to help in any sports tournament. So yeah, I think that's it for my slide.
So cool. This is exactly what we were expecting from a session with you.
Mhm.
I love the photos. I think it's really, it shows. Well, I don't think, first of all, there are many gamers here in this
Oh,
session.
sorry.
But for those of you who've not seen like the power of this in terms of how it brings together communities and audiences, I think this is just magical when you see a whole stadium filled with people who are just there to watch a game being played. I think that's amazing.
Mhm.
I've got a question around how you plan your editorial coverage, because a lot of these are, you're either following a game or you're following a team or you're following a country, right? How do you go about making those decisions? Do you go for the most popular game? Do you go for a team that you want to showcase? Like how do you think about covering esports in Malaysia?
Esports simulator, I cover actually based on my interest, but it's a very coincident whichever that I choose to cover is actually a popular game. For example, like in March 20, back in March, I want to cover about PUBG Mobile consistently. And actually PUBG Mobile is one of the famous esports in Malaysia. So in editorial side, I will interview the player, and when there's a league, for example, like we have a lot of league, Malaysian, Singapore, PUBG Mobile Professional League, and then after that we have Southeast Asia Grand Final League, and also lastly PMWL. PMWL is PUBG Mobile World League. So this kind of circle happens like 2 times in a year. We have like fall split and also spring split. So it shows that there's a growth for the ecosystem for to help us actually for the media to cover. So right now at the moment, there's a very high or very big league going on, which is called as a PUBG Mobile Professional League from Malaysia, Singapore. Malaysia and Singapore. This is the second season for this year. So the game is just like 5 days in a week. Yeah, 5 days in a week. So we start at 5 p.m. until 10 p.m. So editorially, people want to see the same thing, who's win, who's lost, and also the reason behind it. I mean, like, why do you lose? People like to discuss about the meta. People will like to discuss about the strategy behind it. And the meta is actually changed every 2 weeks. So in esports, if you very late to adapt or very if you not adapting it well, you're gonna lose. So it's like it's a very fast, very fast interface, a very fast phase for this kind of industry. So people want to see like, can you adapt to this kind of meta? So yeah.
Maria, I want to ask. I like the question from Sanjay about similarities. Sanjay, why don't you unmute and ask Maria your question?
Thank you, Rashad. Hi, Maria.
Hi.
So I was wondering if you're seeing any parallels between like sports journalism and esports, or any observations that you've made. Like, do they draw off of each other, or like the tech relatability or deep tech link with esports kind of helps it stand out? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities. Yeah, we talk about celebrity players. Celebrity players is one of the hot news in esports. For example, like in Malaysia, we have like a few pro players that is so popular. For example, I give an example. His name is Fredo. Fredo have I think 1 million followers on Facebook, and he played in Pro League too. So every time there's a live streaming about the tournament, the concurrent views is like increasing, like almost there's a one day for that league almost reach 105k concurrent views because of there's so many popular players in that game. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities. We're talking about the strategies and so on, but I think the difference is actually the term and the tech. For example, in PUBG Mobile, we are using what kind of weapon, what kind of bomb or what kind of rotation, especially when PUBG World is a battle royale game. So you give in a certain map and you compete with other 23 teams. One teams have 4 players. So what kind of strategy that you gonna use to survive? Because at the end of the day, it's about a one man standing. So and one team have 4 players. So how you gonna help your team to survive at the end of the day? So people would like to see in the kind of thing. So if you give example in terms of football, people want to see how Cristiano Ronaldo shoot this kind of kick and so on. So it's just the same, but I think the difference is the mechanism, I think, and also yeah.
Cool. Hey, Janisa, why don't you jump in with your question?
Hi, Maria. My son, he's 10, and he plays a lot of Fortnite and Apex Legend and a few things that I'm not sure about. I try to keep an eye on it, but it's mostly kill. But I just wanted to know, we have this kind of old-fashioned sort of idea about the kind of gamer, right? It's a little boy, a young man, very male, stuck in a room alone. Is that changing? Is the quality? I mean, you must be a new face for someone, at least for me, to look at a young woman covering this with that kind of interest is quite something for me. I mean, I'm quite old. So is your coverage conscious of the fact that more girls are joining, maybe older people? Is that changing because of what you do, or are you seeing it happen anyway?
I actually, because my majority audience is actually boys, 18 to 24. But I can see that there's certain, like recently I just got a text message from a mother, a pro player, like say thank you and so on. Because there's a change in audience, but not so much, because I can say, like for example, in my statistic, 99 or 90% is actually boys and young. That's the audience. That's the market, especially in Malaysia. And Malaysia market, for example, when you say like Fortnite and Apex Legend, I think he played PS4 console. Yeah, but console and PS4 not really that famous in Malaysia. So when I say like youngsters age 16 to 24, they are actually using mobile. The reason why, maybe because of people in Malaysia can easily have the access to buy phone. I mean, you can play games in maybe 300 or 200 Malaysia ringgit. That's around, I don't know, maybe how many couple bucks in Singapore dollar. I think it's cheaper than that, right? So, but for PS4, you need like 1,000 Malaysian ringgit. So we can say that people actually can buy affordable phone compared to console. This is actually one of the major factor to why certain esports is blooming and why this kind of age consuming this kind of platform. Am I answering your question? Okay.
Maria, I have a question from me, if I may. And this question is a little, it's different from, in fact, you were talking about your core audience, 99%, boys between, 18 and 24. I mean, or maybe even younger. I mean, Janisia's son is 10. But, I'm curious about different audiences. And I'm curious, therefore, about different products.
Yep.
So would, WTM, for example, would you do a media product for an audience that was completely different? What if there was, for example, I just put it into the chat box.
Yeah.
Would you do an esports like finance and business newsletter? Is there a need for that? What if there were a bunch of investors out there who are investing in this market, who are interested in what's going on in the deal making, and I mean, this is billions and billions of dollars. Would that plug a need?
Yep, but maybe not right now. But this is like a huge potential, because we need to get investor from the non-endemic sector. So non-endemic is like not related to tech, not related to anything mobile and etc. It's actually, maybe we can say, mainstream kind of sector, because that is the group that actually have more investment, that actually have a lot of potential actually. And I gotta be honest, like in Malaysia, a certain people can actually own a club or any maybe a team because they are rich and they are not from esports. So it's actually, and this is one of the thing that I learned when I attend one of the app conference back in 2018. He said that one of the reason why he get funded to actually to make or to develop his app is actually because his funder is actually a very rich guy. So what a rich guy want is actually to brag to their own circle, hey, I own this app, how about you? So when you say that, yes, but it's actually not really the aim. But I'm really think like WTM should be the bridge between esports audience and the non-endemic audience or the non-endemic sector. Beside finance and business, I can see that one of the example that I said about the stateless children just now, actually we get help from the child activists from the UNESCO and from a lawyer, which is not actually related to esports. So it's just that we need get help, or we need to have a networking with the non-endemic sector. So yeah, it's a very interesting or very segment to tap on. But I don't know, because my head is a lot of content planning and editorial. So yeah, I don't know how to answer.
You need to
that.
hire a business editor.
Yeah. So yeah, because there is some certain area that you need to be expert on to actually before you tap into that market. Because from my side, like I'm really focusing on heavily editorial, but as a startup, you cannot think as a just editorial. You need to think about marketing. You need to think about the future, especially because I'm no longer working as a reporter for a certain company. I own this startup. This is my baby, and I need to make proud of it. So yeah, it's a very huge potential, but like you said, I just need to hire someone to actually to do it.
So just to kind of follow on with that, well, I see Florence's question in there. I'll jump to that later, but if I could ask you first, if I wanted to start an esports media startup today, what would you recommend that I do in the first 6 months?
Are you gonna be in Singapore?
Okay, yes.
Singapore is very tough market. For the first 6 months, I suggest you go to Indonesia and focus on mobile. Yeah, for the first 6 months.
Okay.
And when you go to Indonesia, focus on Instagram first. Your content go to Instagram if you want to increase your follower, for example. So yeah, and also you cannot focus on English. You need to focus on their language first, because what they say, when you in Rome, do as the Roman do, something like that. Yeah, because
Absolutely.
because in the future you want to do in English section. For myself, I want to do in English too, but we need to attract them first to understand us, so that we can actually to offer them what we want to do actually. Yeah, for the first 6 months, go to Indonesia. Seriously, go to Indonesia or India. Yeah, these two. India or Indonesia. Write a news, any news, but focus on mobile. Either Mobile Legends or PUBG Mobile. They're gonna be awesome.
Well, India's got problems with mobile games right now, but before I get sidetracked, let's only PUBG Mobile. That's right. Let's go to Florence. I think this is a great segue to her question. Florence, you want to unmute yourself?
Hey, that was a great advice. We have about 62 over million Instagram users in Indonesia. That's account for about 22 point something % of our population. It's huge. Everybody get on an Instagram these days, and that's where they throw all the content. Anyway, my question will be short. So do you see yourself expanding? I see that you are absolutely the absolute one-woman band. Do you see yourself with all the statistics and the numbers on your social media? I'm sure it gets crazy at times for you to be having to churn out content and managing the media at the same time. So do you see yourself expanding in the near future in terms of your newsroom? And are you thinking about any cross-border collaboration with similar media in the region? You mentioned if you want to expand or if you want to open up an esport media, then you could go to Indonesia or India. Do you see this in your long-term or mid-term plans?
I visualize this a lot.
Oh, great.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Like, you go to Indonesia, you go to Indonesia, India, and China, you will be great. And yes, I always see myself expanding, and the reason why I put all the statistic like is to show. Imagine like one woman person or one woman show can do this. Imagine if there is 10 of me. My
Yeah.
focus is actually to revive or to actually to bring back the glory of journalism. That's the purpose of it. But through esports. Yeah. Right now I have one part-time esports journalism, and he's actually 18 years old and it's very great. So I'm very picky actually who is gonna be journalist for WTM. And yes, the idea of it is always there. I always visualize to expand, and my goal is like I said, my goals is go to Indonesia and then India. That's why I'm saying if you want to start, go to Indonesia, or Thailand if you it's near. Singapore, I'm not sure.
All right.
Yeah, so I'm curious now. What is it about Singapore that makes it so difficult?
Okay, there's a tournament in Malaysia, biggest tournament in Malaysia, but they name it as like, for example, Mobile Legend Professional League. They say Malaysia and Singapore, not Malaysia. There's always like same goes to PUBG Mobile in Malaysia. It's always like collectible for to this country, Malaysia and Singapore. The reason why is because the numbers of the players is very low. I think maybe because Singapore audience like to play other platform, not mobile. So I'm talking about mobile. So maybe other platform. Maybe other platform is not doing so great. I don't know. But you guys have new Apple Store, right? So yeah.
If you could expand a little bit more about what you're saying about Indonesia, we like to be able to bring together a community to help support media startups across this region. What do you need to get into Indonesia? What would make you pull the trigger on that?
I just need one, for example, one writer or maybe a journalist or a media. Because like right now, during the PMWL, which is PUBG Mobile World League that was held in July, August, I experimenting my content to engage more Indonesian audience. They actually can understand Bahasa Melayu a bit, but during that time, there's a bit argument between Malaysian audience and Malaysian and Indonesian audience, who is actually the better team in another. But I like the debates that happens in WTM today. They go to WTM, they actually like, hey, I want to talk about your player, but in Malaysia platform, but in Bahasa. So during that time, I can see that, oh, okay, there's some tension going on. So you as a media, you need to play a role as the bridge. So during that time, I actually do a content to show about a story about a player that have a very good relationship with another player, another famous player in Indonesia. So for that video, people are actually appreciating the relationship between these two countries. And just yesterday too, I received a lot of comment in my Instagram that asked me, hey, are you the admin for WT Today Instagram? Because I just want to say thanks because you just make our relationship between Malaysia and Indonesia better. It's because they always fight, like, kids, there's always a fight that who is better, Manchester United or Liverpool? Is never ending. But actually, you can And people thought that, oh, through drama, you can get a lot of numbers. Not really. It's not really healthy. It's actually by appreciating or through inspiring stories, you also can gain numbers and healthy. So when you actually combine to this point, to this country, you just not give a lot of numbers, that's second, but also first. But actually you want to see a healthy relationship between to this country. So I think answering your question, I just need someone that actually can write in Indonesia and actually can understand the market. Yeah, to understand the market is actually not really that hard. You just need to know what's going on. You can actually study what other media write, especially in Indonesia. What's the hot story and so on. But you can actually get in on time. But have to someone to write, have a journalist instinct is very hard nowadays because not many people want to be a journalist. So a journalist, yeah, I just need a journalist.
But you need a journalist who's part of the community, or at least tapped into the community, who is like, maybe not a gamer, but maybe somebody who watches Twitch or watches, or who's interested in, how it works, right?
Yep.
You need curiosity.
Yes.
I have, again, I'm a product guy. I like to design products, and I mean, all of us do, in the media startup world, obviously. So I'm curious about non-gaming news products for you. What's next? I mean, Maria, you have all the beautiful ingredients. You have a great community. You have massive numbers. You have huge respect. You're tapped into all of this. Why wouldn't you do, for example, a Splice beta for WTM? Why wouldn't you feature gamers or investors or game designers, or, would you do events, for example?
Yes. But no, there's a lot of things that on my mind that I want to do it. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, YouTube have this kind of like content engagement that I would like to follow, the hybrid hero and the hub kind of content. What you say about about event is actually the last stage, how you want to engage with the audience, right? By doing an event. I agree. But in order for you to do that, it's actually to get an audience. And when you get the audience, how you gonna maintain the audience and stay loyal to you? So that actually when you giving a product or giving a merchandise or doing a tournament, you want people to buy it, and the people that are gonna buy it is actually someone that loyal to your content, loyal to your whatever that you are doing, that people love your product. Event is always part of the plan, but maybe not right now. Maybe next year, I think, because at the end of the day, people not just gonna consume your YouTube video, not just gonna consume your articles and so on. People want more. People always want more. And how you gonna make yourself stay relevant? So yeah, that's why when I said at the beginning, I want to focus one by one. But for example, the idea of expanding is always there. The idea of doing event is always there. Like for example, I want in terms of event, I want to do a conference and I want to do a tournament, for example. But I don't want to do it just because I want to do it. It's just like I want to create memories and I want to make it meaningful. Because at the end of the day, what kind of narrative that you want to give, or you want to give to your audience, because you don't want to do it just because you need to do it. At the end of the day, how you tell your story to your audience, regardless any platform.
Or you tell your audience's story back to them. I mean, you create heroes from the gaming community. I'm telling you right now, if you made, let's say, a football shirt with the WTM logo on it, hey, tell us some merch.
I would buy it.
I would buy it.
Yeah. I would consider. There's a demand.
WTM merch.
You have a lot on your mind, I can tell.
know.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe I'm not so sure, because this is part of your life journey to as a startup. That maybe step by step. I don't know. It's really overwhelming, but it's really nice to see that people want more for you. It shows that you in the right path When there's a lot of demand, means that cool, bro. Something like that. Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. What do you wish you knew before you started all of this?
Sorry?
What do you wish you knew before you started all of this?
I wish I can. Maybe what I wish that I knew before I start means that, is there any kind of knowledge that I knew before I start?
Yep, exactly. About running your own business, running a small media startup like this, about community even.
If you could do this all over again,
Yeah.
what would you do differently?
Oh, that's a very it's not a tough question, but to me, I don't want to do it differently. But I just hope that I have a lot of knowledge in terms of web development and business. Yeah, because right now I thank to AstroAWANI because of the editorial knowledge, and also how to learn about data journalism. But I really hope that before I start this, I know a lot about web development, app development, and also business. Like right now, one of the way that I gain my how I gain any profit through this everything is essentially through advertising. But I know there must be a way for you to actually to do it. So for me, I just hope I learn a lot about business. Yeah.
I like that. You know, I mean, it's definitely something I know I've learned a lot about after we did Splice. You know, it's one thing. I don't think we can specialize that much anymore. And if we do, I think it's important to hire experts or at least consult experts who know what they're doing. You know, so when you create products for audiences, you have to be able to bind it together with a business point of view. Otherwise, you know, what's the point?
Yep.
You know, what I like about you, Maria, is that when we began beta, we put out the question, and you've been coming to a few sessions. We said, you know, are there any of you who want mentors? You know, in business, in product, in audience, in engagement, in, you know, marketing, in sales, in whatever, in careers. And I remember you asked for a mentor, and you said that you wanted a mentor. Would you be looking for a business mentor? Is that
Yes. Yeah, because at the end of the day, like, I don't want to make it WTM as a sustainable product. I want to make it a profitable. It's not a selfish thought. It's just like, I'm using money to roll the money. I'm using money to create more job opportunities, essentially because there's more demand. That's it. It's not to sustain. When you say sustain, it's actually you do it just to live it, that's defeat the purpose. So I just want to know like how I can make it profitable to actually to hire more good people, because there's a lot of demand. The only way is actually to supply, and you need to maintain the quality. So yeah, for my side, I just need to learn more in a business side. Yeah.
I love how you just described that, and you know, kudos to you on this journey. We know what it's like. So many of us here in this session know what it's like as well to start something up and to try to build it, you know, take it to the next level. Thank you so much for your time today. This has been so wonderful. This recording will be on YouTube later today, so if you want to catch it again, you can see there. Of course you do. Great lessons in here.
And on our Facebook page and on our website in the resources section, splicebeta.com/resources. All of this will be there, including presentations and slide decks and videos and all the links in the chat, all the questions. It's all gonna happen on splicebeta.com/resources.
So with that, we'll say goodbye for now. We are going to be back in about 90 minutes for our second session today. Thank you so much for your time, everybody. And of course, thank you to all our sponsors who made this happen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, guys. Dope.
Thank you. Dope.
Dope.